Hello, everyone. We're at Columbia State University, the Franklin campus, and we're in the admin building upstairs, and we're getting ready. The doors are opening. People are lining up and registering to come into our public meeting, our first one today of two meetings, for the Envision Franklin Update Plan. And here to tell us more about what the process looks like. It's not really a formal presentation, but it's a walkthrough and a look about, and really fun stuff if you come to the meeting. Andrew Orr is here with our planning department. Tell us what it is. We can maybe walk in the room a little bit and give people a peek.
Thanks, Melissa. I really appreciate that. We're here at Columbia State. Doors are about to open from 11 to 1, and we've got lots of stations set up. We've got exercises. We're really looking for a lot of citizen input today, and we're looking forward to that.
And so, what is Envision Franklin? This first banner here tells us a little bit about what it is, and we do have food, by the way. If you come, you can get some free food, which is wonderful. But for people who don't really know what Envision Franklin is, tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Envision Franklin is the city's general plan for the city limits and the urban growth areas, and it guides future growth and development. It's a roadmap for Franklin's future, so it's an important document for the city.
And how long has this document been in place, and why are we updating it now?
So we've had various versions of a long-range plan or a land use plan, general plan over the years, and Envision Franklin was adopted by the Planning Commission in 2017. So we've had it in place since that time. And we try and do a comprehensive update roughly every 5 years as Franklin grows and changes and new trends and market forces and as more and more citizens come to the community. So we just want to reevaluate the plan, make sure it's still current, make any kind of refinements, and that's what we're doing.
And this is really a public process. It's not something that we do in a room just with our staff or just with aldermen. We really want the public to come to these meetings and give input. Why is that important?
Yeah, the more the public can kind of shape the plan, I think the better off we'll all be in the long run. And also citizens have maybe some insightful perspectives on things and more granular kind of detailed perspectives that we're looking for. So kind of the more citizen input that we can get, I think the better the end product will be.
So talk a little bit about the process in general, and then we'll move on to some of the other folks that are helping to educate people.
So we have about 24 stations. The first board kind of explains a little bit about what Envision Franklin is. And then we have the vision and guiding principles. We have a station on housing. We have stations on kind of specific areas of town. And then we've got dot exercises. We've got tons of little sticky notes and comment cards. So lots of ways to provide some input.
And what are dot exercises? Not a lot of people have done a dot exercise. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. So at the Factory District Community Workshop we had last month, we had a lot of dot exercises where people take their dots, and maybe it's an image preference, so we ask them, what images do they prefer and kind of why, and try and understand that a little bit. So there's several different dot exercises today.
Okay, we'll move on to Cynthia. She's our consultant, and she can tell us a little bit more about the process, and we'll meet up with you at the map in just a minute. Okay, so this is Cynthia Bowen. She's with our consulting agency that helps us put this whole public meeting together. Cynthia, tell us a little bit about this process, and then we have our dots to put on the map.
Yes, so this station, what we're trying to understand is whether the current vision and policy that's in Envision Franklin is still relevant to today. So with our particular exercise here, we have the vision statement that's currently in the plan, and then we ask people, is this still relevant? Yes or no, and you can put a dot there. Now, if you want to add some words or think that something's missing from it, you can write it on a sticky note and put it right on that board. We also have all of the guiding principles. There are 8 of them in the current plan, and so what we're trying to understand is, are these still the major themes of the community, or do we need to add 1 or 2? So we ask people again, what do you think? Do you think these statements are on target, or do you think we're missing things and we need to add something? And so we ask them again to write it down on a sticky note and place it on the board. They could also place dots next to the ones that they still think are relevant. And then our final board right behind me is talking about planning issues. Again, if you weren't able to get all of your opinion here, we have a board where you can just write about a specific planning issue that you see in the community. And so hopefully with all of this information, that will point us in a direction what we need to do in order to update the comprehensive plan.
All right, really neat. Now, the room is starting to fill up a little bit already, and it does go on. Thank you, Cynthia. It does go till 1 o'clock, and then there's another meeting at 5 o'clock. So come on down. It's just come and go. You're not going to miss anything if you come a little bit later. We're going to go down here to the housing information, and we have Deborah. She's talking to Andrew and Amy, but Deborah's also with our consulting team. And tell us about the Franklin housing data. It's really interesting.
Absolutely. There's things that people may not realize until you look at some of this data. And so, for example, on this board over here, we have looking at residents by age group, looking from a decade ago, and then projected. And the highest growth areas are projected for 55 and over. Then another kind of counterpart to that is looking at what's household size like in 2021 in the city of Franklin. And the majority of households, 57%, are 1 and 2 person households. And that's the kind of things that are helpful to understand when we're thinking about what kind of housing choices do we need. A couple others here include the change in incomes and home values. You can see that income has gone up a little bit. This is between 2015 and 2021. But median home value has gone up by far more. And that is terrific for people who are already homeowners. But it raises questions about who would like to live in the city of Franklin. What does it take to be able to move in here? Because if their income is not keeping pace with housing prices, what does that mean? And then finally, this is also a counterpart to that, which is looking at the patterns of the workforce in the city of Franklin. And 87% of the workforce of people who work in Franklin actually live outside the city. And again, there's various reasons that that could be, but I would suggest that one might be because of that big gap in incomes and housing prices. And so that's just something that we want people to think about.
Right. Now the board behind you is housing options, and people need to think about it, especially if they look at the previous board. A lot of people cannot afford a single family house. So we need to have options for people, right?
Exactly. And so this is just to introduce people to the range of housing options that may exist. We like to talk to people about where do you live now? Which of these do you live in now? Where did you live maybe a decade ago or 2 decades ago? Where did it might have been a different housing type. And then where do you think you'll live in the future? Again, people may downsize, they become empty nesters, and it's just important to realize that the same housing type is not suitable for everybody in their lifetime. So this is a way to kind of think about that. Again, this box talks about the choices that are available. People may make choices based on their commute, where their job is, where their kids go to school, where they want their kids to go to school, what their budget is. And so all of those are important.
All right. Well, we have someone looking at that other board now. Deborah, thank you so much. Very interesting. You can still come out. It goes till 1 o'clock today. Andrew is over here looking at transitioning. What are you doing over here, guys?
Yes. Oh, thank you, Melissa. So over here is the regional commerce. It's like our Cool Springs area, McEwen, I-65 corridor. So we're just trying to get some feedback and some comments on kind of how the public views that and that perspective and how the area is building out. So we're asking about residential uses in Cool Springs, and then we're asking about building height in Cool Springs at these stations. And then we've got the open space station after that.
All right, really cool. So let's end up over here on this giant map we have in the middle of the room. What's this all about, Andrew?
Well, we printed the largest map that we could have the print shop print, and we wanted the community to be able to just kind of get a view of the design concepts map. These are the future land uses, and this is the existing map that's in the plan. And we're trying to get some comments on if there are any areas that should change or any changes to the design concepts map. So we've got stickies all over the table, and people can just drop a sticky note on the big giant map. So.
All right. Well, people can come out till 1 o'clock today. So our staff's going to be here till 1 o'clock. That's a couple hours. And then again at 5 to 6:30, right?
Yes, from 5 to 6:30, Columbia State. And I think the weather is starting to cooperate with us a little bit, so it's not so terrible outside. So come on down to Columbia State. There will be additional opportunities for input. So be on the lookout for an online survey that we're planning to release in the next couple days. And then there's a future Housing in Franklin meeting that we've just scheduled for April 13th at 6 o'clock, and that will be a virtual meeting, so that'll be on Zoom more than likely, and there'll be more details to come on that.
All right, so come on out, give your opinions. They really do matter. We want you to come out, come in person. Don't just comment on the post here, because that is not necessarily seen by all of our staff, especially if it's just a short comment. So come on down, give us your comment. They are important. We want people's input, and we hope to see you here till 1 o'clock or again at 5 o'clock. So thanks, Andrew.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll see you next time.